Hello everyone, once again this is Father Christopher. So we're going to be looking now at activity number 2 on page 163 through 164. So this video is especially for our parents. Now I'm just going to kind of walk you through how to do this lesson with your kids. It's very simple. What you're going to do is show the children the art that you have on this next page, on page 164 of your books. So this is how that this is how that art looks. Now, you're going to have them look at this as you make your way through a passage in your Bibles. So I'd like you to find the Bibles in your home, and you're going to read through the parable of the prodigal son, which is Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. So that's Luke 15, verses 11 through 32. And as you make your way through this passage, take the time to read through the whole thing. Ask your kids to just close their eyes and to listen, or if they want to, the whole time they can look at this image of the prodigal son coming back to the merciful father. Now, at the very end, you've got some questions that you can ask your kids. For instance, how did you think the father felt when his son asked him to have his inheritance before his father died? This would have been a grave insult at the time. So you ask these questions to your kids, and then it even gives you answers for you as parents if the kids don't necessarily get it right. Or the next one, do you think the son cared about his father, or even for the inheritance this father had given him? And then you have once again another answer. For many of the kids, they might say, no, he didn't care about his father and the inheritance. He spent everything. Or how would you describe the state of the father and son's relationship? Well, the relationship is kind of broken and beaten up. So you can go through each one of these particular questions. Now, the reason that Jesus told this parable, and they explain this at the very bottom of the page on 164, is to aid people to realize that even if they have turned away from their parents, or that even if they've turned away from God, from their sins, that you can always come back, that God is always going to forgive you again. Now, that doesn't mean to be mean to God and throw it back in his face, but it means to not be afraid to return to Jesus' mercy when we find ourselves have sinned. Now, this is kind of an overview of what you can do. They look at this image and you make your way through the passage. Now, there's also a bonus activity on page 165. And that bonus activity has you look into your children's books. So their book of activities. Now, the image that you're going to look at with your kids is on page 170 and 171. So it's another image of the prodigal son. And it's really cool. You can take the time to look at this and to kind of describe a couple things with your kids. Ask them questions about this image. First one is, how would you describe this painting? Well, it's kind of dark, but at the same time, it's beautiful. It's very different. So can you identify the father and the son? So in this image, where is the father and the son? So you can see that the father is there, and he's standing, receiving his son in a big hug. Now, what does the posture of the son tell you? Well, he's sad. He's sorry for what he's done. What does the posture of the father tell you as he's bent over his son and receiving him? That he loves him, that he has forgiven him. And then the main thing for you to do then is to look at this one and compare it with the one in the parent's guide. So what are some of the difference that you notice between the two images? What are some of the things you'll notice are the same? So some of the things you'll notice is you have the image of the older son in this one. So the older one is standing at the side, and he's looking kind of resentful and angry about what's taken place, that his father has just forgiven his son, even though this son has spent all the inheritance. In this other one, you can see also that someone is coming and bringing the new clothes for his son, and that there's all kinds of people surrounding him, preparing for the celebration. Even in the background on this image, you can even notice they're bringing the fattened calf, which is part of the parable, that they're slaughtering the fattened calf for the feast. So take time just to go through this discussion with your kids. It can be really fruitful, but allow them to realize how the father felt and how the son must have felt in these moments, and how many of us are oftentimes either the prodigal son, so the one who comes back, who's sorry for his sins and has done something terrible, or sometimes we're the older son, who can be judgmental and who can say, well, I've always done what's right. Why don't you reward me? So each of these can be a way that we enter into understanding the parable of the prodigal son. God bless. I'll hopefully see you soon.